Here for reading for Tres Vampiras, book 2 of 3. Book 3 is almost finished. We have about 6 more months, and they're both on Amazon. This is book 1, and this was a painting by E.C. Bell. You may know him from San Miguel. He's a famous artist. He was from South Carolina originally, and he did that for free for our book cover. And I'm going to start by reading the summary, which mentions book 1 and book 2. Tres Vampiras is a series of 3 books, a historical fiction, travelogue, and gourmet expedition set in the Corazon de Mexico, the heart of Mexico. San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato. In book 1, we meet Becca, Susana, and Rebby, 3 women who are bitten by a white vampiro named Demetrio. A white vampiro has the ability to roam during the day and only needs a cupful of blood each month. His only weakness was the full moon. He was able to withstand death during the full moon because of the necklace he wore. As the story unfolds, the necklace was taken from him by Rose when she took his heart out in a ritual sacrifice. In book 1, the 3 women were left alone to deal with Rose and her evil lover, the night vampire, Queen Itza. With the help of Demetrio's servants, Sister Helga, Eduardo, and friend Julia, the 3 learned what it meant to be white vampires and to use their powers. Their adventures continue into book 2. Becca, Susana, and Rebby visit San Diego, La Jolla, Fresno, Rosarita, and Juarez. They use their powers to gain revenge on old adversaries. While in their quest for vengeance, they encounter many mysterious figures that are in a war between good and evil and the church's involvement. On their journey, they meet Johnny, a bruja who kills cats and young women, Anna, another white vampira Demetrio had bitten, Mr. Dark, the vampire king of North America, and finally Rose. The women also come to grips with feelings and urges toward each other, while Susana and Eduardo deal with their feelings toward each other. Read Tres Vampiras, book 2, and find out what they learn about Becca's shocking condition and the book's surprising ending. Book 2 contains everything you want in a book: sex, violence, and great cooking recipes. Last night I was working with Jill because I wrote this with Demetrio, and he wanted me to read one chapter, which was 30 minutes, and I'm sorry, I don't want to read for 30 minutes. I don't think you want to hear me read for 30 minutes. So Jill and I last night were going through small parts that I could read in 3 to 7 minutes to give you a good idea about the book. So the next morning, as Rebby and Becca packed for their drive to San Diego, Susana said she had packed the night before and wanted to walk along the beach. I'll be back within an hour or 2. I just want to get away from you guys for a while. Rebby agreed immediately, knowing that Susana planned to take vengeance on the man who had hurt their friend, and said, "It will take me that long to organize my makeup bag." Becca removed a large book from her bag, titled Enchantment and Its Complications, and said, "Take your time, Susana. I want to read anyway." Susana followed the beach south until she came to the condos that matched Becca's description. She saw a heavy woman backing her car out of a driveway and yelling at someone from her car window. Susana thought to herself that this was obviously the place Becca's ex-boyfriend lived. She remembered how she had walked as a jaguar, and now she mimicked this quiet movement. She snuck up to a window to peer inside. She was shocked at the Spartan living room, and shocked again by how dirty the place was. Bastard, Susana thought. He had probably pawned all of Becca's finer things. A man in the kitchen, cleaning mussels and fish, and grumbling under his breath. He looked down at a cute little white kitten that had made its way inside the open sliding glass door. The kitten was smelling the fresh seafood and purring, hopeful that something might drop from the counter. The man looked down and yelled, "Get out of my place, you damn cat, or I'll add you to this mill." He kicked the kitten hard against the glass door. Susanna was silently raging. That fucker, he just messed with my family. She watched the little kitten slowly pick itself up. She began to resign herself to Becca's wisdom that the man being his own worst enemy. He lived in garbage, and he had to sleep with that horrid woman who was yelling as she pulled out of the driveway. That couldn't be easy. Maybe it's better that he suffer like this, she thought. Maybe death would be too kind. I could take an arm off, though, I suppose, but then he would qualify for disability. And she hated that so many people cheated the system and got away with it, especially assholes like him, she thought. Her anger began to fester. She wondered where the system was when she needed it, when she was so damaged by water pollution that her own family didn't understand her. It was those damn chemicals in the water from a company operated by callous shits like him. She began to step away from the window when she heard a voice in her head. Give him what he deserves. She was startled by the low voice. It seemed to come from nowhere, but she was sure she had heard it. She whispered back, "Who's there?" The voice whispered back to her, "A friend, an ever-watchful friend. Remember that he hurt your friend. She ended up in the hospital, and he's hurt plenty of others. He will continue to hurt people. Probably one day he might hurt you, and you've already been hurt plenty. Think about the poor kitty." Susanna stopped. It wasn't Rebbe in her mind, and it surely wasn't herself, but the voice came from within her, from somewhere near her solar plexus. "What, hurt me? No, fuck him," she said loud. The voice inside her responded, "That's right, like you said, fuck him, and not in a good way." Susanna replied, "Definitely not in a good way, but I haven't practiced." Then the voice responded, "That's what I'm here for, to help you. I can help you change. First take off your clothes and set them aside. That way you will know where to find them." Susanna had worn a simple sundress and didn't have to worry about undergarments since she wasn't wearing any. She stepped out of the sundress, placed it on the patio, and said, "Okay, what now?" The voice instructed her, saying, "Now turn and look at him. See how arrogant he is, how he took everything that Becca gave to him and pissed it away. He's probably going to do it again to that poor, unsuspecting fat woman. She's working hard to keep his lazy ass at home, and he's going out tonight to find another woman." Susanna gritted her teeth, and soon her anger sharpened her senses and helped her focus on him as she hissed, "That bastard." The man heard a sound at his open door, and he stopped in his tracks at the sight of a beautiful naked blonde who had suddenly appeared in his condo. He asked no questions. He went to her and said, "Mi amor, do I know you?" She glared at him and retorted, "No, but come closer to me and I will tell you a secret." He thought that she was probably a nudist from the nearby beach. He walked over to her with images of taking her into the bedroom and having his way. After all, his girlfriend was angry and at work. When he came close, Susanna snarled and suddenly turned into a jaguar. He looked up in shock as she used her right front paw to rip a hole in his gut and draw out his intestines. He was still alive as he fell on the floor. She then took his bloody intestines into her front paw and stuffed them into his gaping mouth. "This is for Becca," she hissed. "You won't live much longer, but I hope you enjoy your last meal. I wish I could stick around to see your girlfriend's face when she comes home, but I'll probably see it on the news." Minutes later, she changed back into her human form without difficulty. She put her clothes back on. "I did it. I changed back," she thought to herself. She stared into the air and asked her invisible friend, "What's your name, and how did I speak as myself in my jaguar form?" "It doesn't matter. Just know I'm always watching after you." Then she heard a high-pitched squeal and looked up and saw an eagle flying above her along the beach toward the hotel. She walked back to the hotel, following the eagle's path, happily humming a tune by Santana called "Put Your Lights On." She wondered as she walked if this shifting ability would have come to her if she had never been turned into a white vampire. And I do drink white wine, that's my poison. And I actually do write better at nighttime when I've had some wine. But sometimes I get writer's block and I'm not sure what I'm going to write, and I just sit down And it just comes. And suddenly, 21 pages later, it's there. And then I send it to Demetrio, who's the co-writer, because as a man, he writes better sex scenes than I do. And he also, as a Mexican male, knows a lot about spiritualism and with the Catholic Church and, you know, vampires and the Virgin of Guadalupe and witches, which are all believed in here. Do you have a question? A new kind of vampire that nobody's done. I call them the white vampire because they're children of the light. So it's a totally different concept. And they don't kill. They just take enough blood, 1 cupful, right before the full moon, and the person doesn't even remember. And he's been doing this. He was a Sephardic Jew from the 16th century who came to Mexico City, and his parents were burned at the stake as witches because they didn't understand that they were vampires. And then he ended up in San Miguel de Allende.
So it's a series of 3.
3, and this is book 2.
So you went 2, and so 3rd is not written yet.
No, it's up to 5. It's up to 5 chapters, and the ending is written, and another chapter between. So we have about 3 or 4 more chapters. So it'll be published soon.
And you can buy it.
Well, you can buy it from Amazon.
In the States and Amazon.
On Amazon. The only place you can buy hard copy books are at Maria's. Nowhere else. You have to buy them online from Amazon.